The font fun. Yeah. I mean, but from a technical standpoint, the font is an easy read.
True.
But
hey,
yeah,
Jeff McKinney.
Hey, so, and that's just the technical stuff about the book, but we'll talk about the other things when we actually do the show that I like. How's that?
That sounds great.
All right. So I think I'm all set to go here. John, you got anything before we get started? John, I went ahead and I don't know. Solomon's not going to make it. I don't know if John.
Yeah. I saw that.
Sam. So it's just the three of us tonight. I went ahead.
Or shame on him.
Yes, he has like explosive diarrhea or something like that. So I'll make sure to leave that in the show for sure. So he's not feeling up to it. So John, I went ahead and grabbed a wine, beer, pop culture reference.
Okay, I had one just in case.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's not very good. So if you want to do it, you can.
I can do it, but then I'm doing the ad read too. So
all right, I got it then. All right, I think that's all set.
Which is a repeat given the circumstances.
Okay, good to know.
But it's it's apropos. It works.
You're good. All right, Sam, you remember what we're doing?
Oh shit. I did up until you asked me.
All right, we're gonna talk about some shit and laugh about some stuff, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's do this then. Here we go. The We Like Drinking podcast is sponsored in part by Wine Still Sold Out. Get wine at the best price online, one at a time, till sold out. Visit WTSO.com/WLD.
Hi, I'm Al Young from Four Roses Bourbon on the We Like Drinking podcast, where we all never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption. At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 229 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing Sam Calpione's Beer Gut, No Food Trucks for You, and we're going back to the 90s with Sam Slaughter. So crack open your Mambo number 5, uncork that Windows 75, and let's get drinking! Woo! All right, Solomon's not here tonight, so the beginning of the show was a cluster because I'm trying to do his job and do my job, and apparently I can't do two jobs at once. But we're finally getting ready to go here. So cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to episode 225 of the only two-time award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on Sam. We're not even having fun. We're just going to focus everything on Sam tonight.
Come on, you can't do two things at once. I know you can chew gum and fart at the same time.
I do, but usually the gum flies out my nose. It's a really weird thing that happens. So by now, folks, you realize you're listening to Podcast Gold. So be sure to subscribe to the show by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe and click on the button that best resembles your phone use technique, I guess. I don't know. All right. We have this is going to be such a fun episode, everyone. I am so excited for this one. We have a returning guest, one of our favorites. So let's get right into it and find out who we're drinking with tonight. We've got our wine blogger, Jeff Solomon. Oh, that dead silence means he's not going to join us. So let's move on to our beer brewer, John Ruyak.
Hey, folks, not drinking beer tonight.
No, we are not, which is where the fun comes in. And I am your host, Jeff Eccles. Now, our guest tonight Lance joined us way back on episode 195 to talk about his role in the Spirit Awards, published on themanual.com, where he is the food and drink editor. His work has been featured in Maxim, Bloomberg, The Bitter Southerner, and many other places. His last endeavor, why he's joining us tonight, is the cocktail recipe book, Are You Afraid of the Dark Rum? And Other Cocktails for 90s Kids. Please help us welcome and drink with Sam Slaughter. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you so much.
40 weeks. It's been 40 weeks since he's been here. We got to get in touch with the producer and make sure he doesn't do that again.
Right. And it needs to happen more often because, 40 weeks, dude, that beard can grow a lot.
It has grown a lot since I'm staring at it now on the thing. And yeah, it's quite a difference since the last time.
It's quite glorious, I must say. Look at our scruffy little there's nothing here. Look at these weak things we got cooking here. Look at this. I love saying look at this on a podcast. It just works so well. So let's find out what everybody's drinking tonight. I know John and I have decided to go straight to Sam's new book that we're going to be talking about. So John, what is in your glass?
I have Ginny in a bottle.
Ginny in a bottle. All right. What is that?
Well, it's gin, coconut water, homemade cilantro lime syrup, and a wedge of lime.
Ooh, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
A little bit of earthy, a little bit of sweet.
Oh, it's sweet and herbal.
Herbal.
Yeah. The cilantro playing off the gin. I can taste all the components, and I have to say I'm mighty proud of my homemade cilantro lime syrup. Pretty cool.
Nice. Well done. That is one cool thing about the book that we'll get into is some of the syrups. Myself, I am going with, mostly because of the name, but I am going with Baby Got Black Label. Even though I don't have any Johnnie Walker Black Label, I just have Johnnie Walker Standard Edition. So I went with that, but it's basically a whiskey sour. We've got the Johnnie Walker, we've got some lemon juice, some simple syrup, an egg white, and some bitters. And I got a little cherry down in there somewhere, but hella good. I think the recipe said that I should make a double, so I did. So I've got 4 ounces of whiskey going in me for this episode, and I got a beer back in case I need it. But Sam, what are you drinking tonight?
So I am drinking one of the first cocktails that I came up with, the Juice Box Iced Tea. So I grew up drinking Sips Iced Tea, the literal, I think the only iced tea that came in a juice box, which I made into a cocktail. So it's some whiskey, it's not limoncello as it is in the book. I did some lemon simple syrup. I'm here at the beach. I had to work with what I got, but some lemon simple syrup, some orange bitters, and a little bit of extra stuff. And I've got my Juice Box Iced Tea. I had to really just kind of work with it on the fly.
You got to work with what you got sometimes. As a side component, if your book, can I tear off part of it to make my own box to sip drinks in? Is the label made, or there's some kind of fold out in there that I can make my own juice box with?
If you do that, please buy another one. I will gladly sign all of them. I just ask, if you're gonna rip it up, just buy another one.
That would make sense.
They're only, I think at this point they've been getting, lower and lower prices on Amazon. I think they're like $9 at this point. So this is the best time to do that.
This is the best time. Now, is it officially been released yet, or does it officially come out next week?
It comes out June 4th.
June 4th.
We are recording the week before, so next Tuesday, June 4th.
June 4th. But we can pre-order now on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. All right. And hey, it just so happens we have a link to it at We Like Drinking. So go there and help both of us out a little bit. All right. So before we get into any more of the show, I think it's time that we test our brains and see how much the alcohol is affecting it so far with a little bit we like to call Wine beer or pop culture reference. This is where I give these guys a term and they try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is Gutenborner. So is Gutenborner, and I really have to say that now because half a drink in and it's going to change from Gutenborner to something else. So is Gutenborner a wine term, a beer term, or some kind of pop culture reference? John Ruyak.
I'm pretty sure there's an umlaut in this Gutenborner, isn't there?
There are no umlauts in this one.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the first thing that came to mind for me was some sort of weird remake of the Jason Bourne movies with Jeff Gutenberg as the lead in the lead role.
Jeff Gutenberg in The Bourne Identity.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
Yeah,
with the pods behind him for yeah.
So that's the first thing that came to mind. So I thought it's a some sort of pop culture reference in an alternate universe that we don't want to visit.
I really think you should just stick with that one because you're not going to get any better of an answer than that.
There you go. Pop culture reference.
All right. So a John Gutenberg remake as Jason Bourne with the shells. But what was the name of the movie that he was in with the old people?
Oh shit! Oh yeah, where they like crack eggs and go up to the space.
Yeah. Diabetes is in it.
Diabetes.
All right. Cocoon. There you go. It's Jason Bourne comes back a Cocoon. Thanks to okay. All right. It's called Gutenborner. All right. So Sam. Is Gutenborner a wine term, a beer term, or are you in the movie realm here?
I'm going to go with the beer realm just because I'm going to hide behind the Reinheitsgebot at this point and hope that whatever your term was is some sort of like umbrella term for that.
It's a remake of the Reinheitsgebot is what you said. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. So we're all going with remakes. Sam is going with beer term. John is going with an awesome 90s film reference, a pop culture reference. The term Gutenborner is in fact a wine term, no doubt. It is a German wine grape that's used in English wine production, created in 1928 by Heinrich Burke. Gutenborner. And that's for real the last time I'm going to say that. Otherwise, it's going to have to be bleeped out or something like that. All right. And now we're going to go from...
Way to be a Gutenborner.
We're going to go from Gutenborner to a word from our sponsor.
No matter where you are in your wine journey, you have a price-quality ratio that you feel comfortable with. Wines Till Sold Out helps you get to that next level. Go to WTSO.com/WLD to see how their daily offerings of premium and super premium wines will help you up your game. Over-the-top quality wines at huge discounts, 40, 50, sometimes 60% off on great wine. Again, that's WTSO.com/WLD. And when you check out, use the coupon code WLD2019 for even bigger savings.
And we're back. Thanks for that read, John. Excellent work. All right, Mr. Slaughter. Let's get into this. First question. Are you afraid of the dark rum?
I think no one should be afraid of the dark rum.
Oh, I should be. Yes, I should be.
You haven't loved it enough then.
Oh, yes, I have.
You haven't loved it the right way then.
With your Gutenborner. Okay, so the last time you were on, you had mentioned this book, and now it's out. Are You Afraid of the Dark Rum and Other Cocktails for 90 Kids? This is a lot of fun of a read. I love the cocktails in it. I love your excerpts for each one and kind of where the name came from. But what was your inspiration for this book other than a mad night of watching Nick at Night or something like that?
I mean, at this point, I love making cocktails. I think I talked a little bit about it the last time, but I love making cocktails. I love making cocktails for people, even if it's just one other person that I've never met before. I will love to make a new drink for someone, but anything that I have done in the past 20 years at this point has been dictated by 90s pop culture, because I was born in 87. I grew up in the 90s. Like, everything I know has been kind of positioned because of the 90s. And so when I look back at everything that means something to me, the 90s music, the 90s movies, the 90s, whatever you want to call it, come back. And so when I wanted to put a cocktail book together, I wanted to do something that meant the most to me. And so the immediate thought was, let me do something about the 90s. And so I did, and I got the opportunity, however crazy, whatever stars aligned, but I got to do that.
To me, it's kind of your realization that your upbringing, your childhood, your cultural experiences as a young person really translate to these cocktails the way I look through them. And I honestly don't see another decade that was as ripe for this type of treatment that you've given it as any that I can remember as an adult. I mean, I know that you brought forth these experiences from your childhood and how these extend that, but me looking back, being quite a bit older than you, my son is the same age as you, and I'm a grandfather. But I can really see how those things translated to the way it played out in your book and these drinks, these cocktails that you created for it. Was it something where like 5 or 6 ideas just pounded into your brain at once and you had a hard time like getting them all down before you forgot one? Or was it this huge rush of creativity that was hard to hold back?
I spent a lot of time. So I love trivia in general. I will go to a local bar trivia as often as I can. And I will go to, if there's a 90s night or an emo night or any of these sort of things, I will go to those just because I like to listen to the music and I like to sit there and drink a $2 PBR or whatever it is. But over the course of all of those, when I'm going to this, 90s night, where there are plenty of bars around the country that are hosting 90s nights, I'll bring my partner. We'll try and get 2 or 3 friends to go. We'll sit there, we'll drink some beers, we'll listen to it. And I love that. I love reminiscing in my own head about those songs and where I was at that point. And then I love thinking about how far I've come or how far I maybe haven't come for certain songs. And so I tried to take all of those things and put them into cocktails.
Nice. So Jeff, go ahead, John.
I was going to say Solomon has a couple questions.
Yeah. So Jeff Solomon wants to know, what's your favorite 90s drinking game from your book?
Oh, man. All of them. I know that's the cheap answer, but I put them all in there because I thought they were fun. If you find me in a bar in, everywhere from Seattle to Tucson to Orlando, and you're like, let's do this, I'm going to do it. So all of them.
Okay.
And especially if someone goes like, let's do this specific drinking game. Yeah.
The quotes one, I should just not even play. I should just sit there and drink and watch everybody else try to do it because I'd get them all wrong.
I That is probably my least best one. I will lose more often than not, but depending on the movie or the song, I can maybe go a round or two.
We played one back in the day where we would watch the Arnold Schwarzenegger film where he went to Mars. What was the name of that one?
Total Recall.
Total Recall. And you had to drink every time somebody died. Most people didn't make it through the movie. It was it just got to the point where you're like, that's 3 beers, so I'm just going to be done with it. So yeah, those kind of games are definitely fun. John,
sorry.
Go ahead.
You said Arnold, and I thought about the Nickelodeon show, and I was thinking about all that, and then went to Mars, and it just took a weird turn.
You know, the weird thing about that is, well, come on, I'm a dad, right? So my kid watched Hey Arnold and all those shows on Nickelodeon, and I watched them too because they were good. You know what?
Yeah.
There was no or very little cartoon artistry from the early 70s up until that time. So there was a huge backlog of, I think, ideas floating through, and for Nickelodeon to give them that kind of platform, because just all that creativity just jumped into those young people's brains, like my son and yourself. So there was one drink I remember. Isn't there a drink? There's a Hey Arnold drink in the book.
The Hey Arnold Palmer.
That's right. That's right. I liked that one.
Sam, I think did you have a comment to what John was
thinking about? Hey Arnold, the creator of it apparently was, I think he's brother-in-laws with or something, but he got advice from Matt Groening, who created The Simpsons. But the advice was, you either need to make the characters, you need to make them visible from a distance or something else. And so
silhouette.
Silhouette. And so that's why we have Hey Arnold, who is football head, and Gerald, who is the other thing. But that's why all those characters in Hey Arnold are the way they are. It's because Matt Groening went, you need to see them from a distance.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too. And I think, John, you brought up the point about why the 90s were, so full of this kind of stuff. And, when you think about it, you're a kid, you grew up in the 60s, right?
Yeah. 70s.
And I'm 70s, 80s, but we didn't have those channels dedicated to like kiddom. We had MTV. And that was about all I had growing up. So I think you're right. This is the first generation that has this kind of thing where the whole country kind of grew up around these same shows. And that's why it's so memorable. And you look through, you can definitely tell the TV shows meant a lot to you and music meant a lot to you, looking through a lot of these drinks. And so is there a drink in here that isn't your favorite because of the drink, but is your favorite because of the pop culture reference that it has? Like one that was like either the one that you were like, this is going to be the one I do first, or the one that meant the most to you?
It's definitely the Fresh Mint of Bel Air.
I was gonna say, that is like my favorite one in here.
That's why I put it first. I did it originally as a cocktail there was a Bombay Sapphire media plus bartender competition at Tales of the Cocktail 2 years ago now. But we, as media, were paired with, really great bartenders, and we were let loose on a wall of ingredients after a certain amount of time. And we had 3 minutes to grab a bunch of stuff. And what I ended up with was the strawberry mint sour that the Fresh Mint of Bel Air was. And then after that, I knew I wanted to do something with it. And then I sort of pulled it together and did what I did with it. Yeah.
Yeah. that was, and I think it's great that you put it first, because the moment you get to that one, you got some stuff about how to set up your bar, how measurements work, introductory kind of stuff. But when you get to that one, you see the Freshman of Bel Air. It's like, okay, I love this book, and I love what it's going to do. The name is just on point. The drink is on point. The photo is on point. So yeah, I totally get that one. And I love that one too. I came really close to making that one, but I didn't want to open a bottle of Prosecco when it came down to it.
It does lead me to the one complaint I have about the book.
Uh-oh.
It's
Complain away. Let's go.
It's the conversion table. Why? Did they never give us any help converting shit over to metric? We shouldn't be doing that for them. Let them figure it out.
That's your one complaint about it?
That's my one complaint.
I'm going to take that and run with it. Great.
So how many Pickelodians did you have to drink before you got it right?
Oh, at least 12.
Whoa. and you had to eat every pickle, right?
Yeah. It was a long process. The pickling process with the black pepper plus the making it into a cocktail process, it was a lot longer than I would like to admit, but there was a lot going on. There were a lot of like Tuesdays and Wednesdays where I was having a pickle martini basically, and my partner was going, it's 4 p.m. Not 4 a.m. 4 p.m. And I'm trying to justify that, but yeah, eventually we got it right. We dialed it in.
That was another one that I was contemplating making, but with how much I enjoy pickles, I would have had my drink would have been falling over because I would have had a giant whole pickle hanging out of it. But the Pickelodian was another one of my favorite, is in there. As far as we've got that the Freshman of Bel Air was your favorite name. Do you have a favorite cocktail in here? Is there one in here that is your yeah, I really came up with a beauty on that one?
I love the Freshman to Bel Air. The Are You Afraid of the Dark Rum, because it is the title cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it because it makes you sort of take a step further in terms of the smoking.
Yep.
And that's what I like about it. So yeah.
And I love the visual. John, you were talking about the visuals a little bit.
That was my absolute favorite picture. I mean, just that one blows them all away.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa, that's cool. It's yeah. But let's go back to ingredients a little bit. We talked about the syrup. Is it what we call it, an index or
appendix?
Appendix. Yes, I still have mine. That's why I couldn't remember the name. So along the lines of some of the drinks took a little bit to dial in. Some of these syrups, I've seen cilantro lime syrup for other cocktails before. Some of these seem like they've been invented by yourself. Is that the case? And how long did it take you to kind of perfect those?
I wouldn't say they're invented by myself. I mean, I've been to cocktail bars literally around the world where I'm drinking crazy things, every other day or whatever it is. But with the recipes that I decided on, I wanted to do things that were easy enough to replicate that. Yeah, I just wanted to make them easy enough to replicate. And so with the, cilantro or the black pepper or whatever, we were not doing things that were too out there where someone in Arkansas or Mississippi or Washington or Canada, if they picked up the book and they wanted to do the Pickelodian and they wanted the black pepper whiskey. They could go out to their local grocery store, get the black pepper, and do it. I just wanted simplicity.
Yeah, and you nailed that. Like, there's not a drink in here. I mean, one you need Pop Rocks for, which is pretty awesome. But all of the drinks in here, nothing is really too outlandish. If you have a decently stocked bar, you're going to have everything you need for it. Everything's pretty simple to like make, and it's just a fun throwback to everything that you've got on here. John, was there another drink that you thought that you would want to make?
I can't. Unfortunately, I can't get it on my phone, and it was on my computer.
You were going to make the ghost busting juice, weren't you?
No, well, I do have a note about that here, but I didn't want to put green food coloring in my drink. But the one that really, the Afraid of the Dark rum drink. But on the complete opposite of that, there was a drink that was very clear and had some slices of citrus in it that I just can't remember the name of that one. And I was
Clearly citrus?
It's clear. Well, there you go. No, I thought that one looked delicious. Just
looks a lot like Zima.
Looked a lot like Zima, and it looks like it will taste a lot like Zima as well.
Yeah. But I thought it, just the description and your the blurb on it was, I wanted to make one of those.
Yeah. And again, I think that's one of the great things is everything is, 4 to 5 ingredients or less. There's nothing too crazy. Although the Ginny in a bottle, what is up with that glass? It looks like a light bulb.
We had a light bulb shaped glass and we wanted to use it. And that's why we used it.
Okay. That's the one other problem I have with the book. Not with the book, but with you culturally appropriating I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was my childhood crush. That can't be yours.
Christina Aguilera, Genie in a Bottle was the 90s. So
I get that, but you did reference TV Land and I Dream of Jeannie.
Yes, because we have built on them. And then we made them better with Genie in a Bottle.
Oh, okay.
Oh, generation by generation. My money's on the beard. So it's available on Amazon. Is this going to be out in bookstores, or is online going to be the preferred way to get it that you know of?
It will be out in bookstores.
Awesome. So look for it close to you. Look for it on Amazon. Look for it on We Like Drinking. But this is definitely a fun one to check out. And you said it's like $9.50 or $9.
Yeah. If you go online, it'll be $9, maybe $10 on Amazon, Walmart, Target. You can just put in the name; it will show up.
And you do have a lot of music references in here. Is there a way, by chance, that our listeners could go listen to some of the music that you have in here in an easy to find way?
If you look up Are You Afraid of the Dark Rum on Spotify, there will be 4 different playlists that if you buy the book, you will see them in there. But if you look on Spotify, they'll be there.
Awesome. So you can get the book, have a party, and you just have the tunes already laid out for you by one Sam Slaughter,
which will be updated whenever I feel like it.
How very 90s of you. Okay. Anything else that we should talk about referencing the book that we may not have talked about quite yet?
Buy it. Buy it soon. All right. Well, now Jeff Solomon, I think, since he sees himself as a kid of the 90s, I think he has some challenges for you while we're here. He's got some 90s quiz questions to test you on. So yeah, finish your drink. And here we go. Okay. John, did you see these? So do you know the answers?
I see them. Yeah.
You're reading right now?
I'm reading them right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So this is just going to be for you, Sam. So here we go. 4 questions. I need a dinger, but I don't have one. All right. Which hip hop artist released the single Doing It featuring the line, "I represent Queens. She was raised out in Brooklyn"?
I got nothing.
Answer is LL Cool J. All right. This one is way too easy, but which TV series finale ended with the closing line, "Sorry, we're closed"?
Oh God, I am being just seen as a sham right now. I
Where
don't
does
know.
everybody know your name? Cheers.
All right, that's fine.
Cheers.
I am
right.
To be fair, I didn't watch that as a kid.
Yeah.
I am working my way through that now. I'm on season 10, so I've got one more season. So you've now just ruined the end for me.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Netflix.
What is the fifth word of the theme song for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Born?
Now, this is a
Story.
Yes. All right. And last one, which character in the final episode of Saved by the Bell was forced to perform ballet in order to earn his last credit needed to graduate?
Mario Lopez.
Is that
Slater?
Zach.
Oh.
He says,
So
Solomon says
Mark
Zach.
Paul Gosselaar had to do that?
That's
fun.
I've never watched Saved by the Bell.
I would have figured that Slater had to do that.
I would have gone with Slater as well. That would have seemed like the more obvious choice to me. John, did you know any of those?
I think I would have gotten the Cheers one, maybe.
That's the only one I would have gotten.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, there is one last question from Solomon.
Okay. You can go ahead and read that.
Okay, Sam. It says, I see that you recently wrote an article for the manual about the world's best guacamole, but was surprised to not see my own award-winning guacamole featured in the article. What's up with that?
You haven't sent me any, so I can't tell that it's the best if you haven't sent me any.
Perfect.
Also,
answer.
if you're not going to show up to the podcast, why should I care about your guacamole?
I mean, F you, Jeff Solomon.
I don't care if you're on the bowl tonight.
We're not talking about the guacamole bowl.
Now you know Jeff's going to send you a bowl of his guacamole. He won't wrap it, just a thin layer of paper over it is all it's going to be.
I will take so many photos of that with me. It'll be great.
Oh, goodness. Oh, Sam, it's always such a pleasure to have you on the show. All right. So that's the book. I do encourage people to go check it out. It is a fun book. And we didn't really talk about even how each recipe has its own like nostalgia write-up that goes along with it that I really got a giggle out of a lot of them, especially more the music ones, because I could identify with those a little more than some of the show ones. But so I mean, really just a great job with the book. It's a fun read and some delicious cocktails as well. I'm looking forward to making them. All right, so that's not the only thing that Sam Slaughter does by any means. You have a podcast, as we've talked about before, which is also one of the top 19 podcasts to check out in 2019 that you should be subscribed to, along with the We Like Drinking podcast. I mean, folks, this is the best quality podcast duo right now cooking. But you guys are killing it. You just had an episode with Zane. That was a really good one. You guys are asking great questions of your guests. And can you talk anything about what's coming up or any of the highlights that you've had over this year from Beers, Bacon, or Beers, Booze, and Bacon?
It's been Beers, Booze, and Bacon. Yeah. It's been crazy. We've grown a lot over the past 2 years, where this was a very let's see what happens kind of podcast. And then we have gotten to interview a lot of great people. As we've talked about, I read about food and booze. Talking to Zane Lamprey, who has done 3 sheets and now 4 sheets, getting to talk to them about what they do, but also we recorded a podcast today where we talked to zookeepers from the Oregon Zoo about what it means to be a zookeeper, which for me, up until today, was I know Steve Irwin or Jack Hanna. And so we got to learn a lot, and we've gotten to talk to some really cool people, and we've got some really cool people on the horizon that are really cool. That's really all I got.
All right. So yeah, you guys are killing it. You should be proud of what you're doing with the show. You should be proud with what you're doing with the book. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Anything we may have missed that you want to get off your chest while you got the floor?
If you're looking to travel for the year, come to Greenville, South Carolina. We have a lovely place. We have a lot of hotels, and we've got some great food.
There you go.
And I'll go out with you for a drink.
Will you mix the drink though?
If they ask me nicely.
and if you purchase the book, that's the other qualifier. Awesome. All right, Sam, we're going to move on with the show. I know it's late where you're at. If you want to drop, you can, or if you want to stick around, we would love to have you.
Oh, I'm going to stay on.
All right, let's do it. And let's get into booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or we got throwback news. And this one is just, the timing of this one just blows my mind. But John.
Okay, so New Jersey. You suck, New Jersey. After several months, the state of New Jersey and their Liquor Control Board, or Division of Alcohol Beverage Control, issued a new set of rules for craft breweries. Now, it used to be that when you went to a craft brewery, in order to drink the beer there, you had to go on a tour. Yeah. So, yeah, at Lizard Tail, it'll be like, hey, this is where we brew the beer. Thank you very much.
This is where we pour the beer.
This is where we pour the beer. Have a seat. So you had to do that every time you went. Now you only have to do that once per year. So now they are saying that the tours are supposed to be informative. Okay. So they also have struck down the ability to have special premise events. They're limiting it to 25 special events where a brewery could sponsor a party and have a bunch of people come, or a band or something, paint with beer or whatever you want to call it. And on-premise special events. Now they can still have private, so a person can have a private party and have their party there. They can do that once a week. I guess the biggest thing though is that they're no longer allowed to have food trucks. They're concerned that they're competing with other restaurants. Now, other restaurants people can come in and bring their own food, but you can't have a food truck right at a brewery in New Jersey. I don't understand what the difference is, seeing as a food truck has a restaurant license.
Right.
So I guess your restaurant just can't have wheels on it in New Jersey in order to serve at a brewery.
Maybe
that really sucks for food trucks. I mean, that is the lifeblood of food trucks here in Albuquerque and Portland and a lot of other places.
Here as well, yeah. And the irony of this one is, the last time Sam was on, we talked about the first time that this went through, and this just came out like today, I think, or yesterday.
Yeah.
And because Sam is originally from New Jersey, correct?
Yep.
You grew up there, so this is near and dear to your heart. And last time we talked some about this, and now this is kind of updated rules, right, John? They got so much pushback and thank you, listeners, because they got so much pushback from the We Like Drinking podcast. The last time we talked about it, everybody called and complained so much about it. Nobody in New Jersey did. It was just the listeners of our show that the ABC went back and reformed their rules to come up with the way now, where it went from, would it go from 25 events to
25 to 52?
So 25 to 52 events now. Sam, I see why you left New Jersey.
I read the article the other day, and one of the brewers who I don't know personally, I have never met, whatever, was quoted, and they were like, they met our needs and whatever, but having grown up in New Jersey and having grown up in a place where there was no craft beer, having left, seen the glorious, lovely world of craft beer, and then having to go home to New Jersey, and seeing this happen after we talked about it the last time, it's just literally the emblem of facepalm over and over again until like your palm is bleeding or your face is bleeding, because you wonder why they're doing so many dumb things to prohibit, and you wonder who has the politicians in their pockets to warrant all of this.
Yeah. And that really is the thing. It's like, where is the use of these rules coming in? And it's especially now that they can't have food trucks. I mean,
that'll kill most of the breweries that I know. Yeah.
And the food trucks. I mean, this is going to decimate these people's livelihoods. And really, I just can see no value add to this other than there's somebody that have a monopoly that's holding on to what they had. And the only way they can do it is through legislation at the local level. And it's really disheartening to see. And I don't know, John, if it talked about any of the whys in this, but God, this just doesn't make any sense to me. We're way out here in Colorado.
I think most of it was brought again by the Restaurant Association, saying it's unfair for breweries to have the ability to serve food without having the attendant licensing required for liquor and wine. So let's here in New Mexico, as an example, you can get an adjusted food and liquor license and serve beer, wine, and liquor without the huge $100,000 liquor license if 60% of your sales are from food. So you can bypass that huge requirement, because there's only New Mexico doesn't issue any new liquor licenses anymore. So you have to wait for one to become available, and they can sell for $250,000. I think it's pretty similar in Colorado too. So I think in New Jersey, there was something similar to that, and restaurants were pushing back against breweries that get a break. Their licensing fees are for selling beer directly to the public are pretty low. I mean, it's $400 a year here in New Mexico. I don't know what it is in New Jersey. So they were saying that breweries got an unfair advantage by having a place where they can sell an alcoholic beverage, have a food truck that's providing food, and then not have to go through all the rigmarole of actually having a restaurant with a beer, wine, and liquor license. That's the feeling I get out of the article. I say, so what?
Yeah. And like here, I'm pretty sure that you can get a license that's just, you can sell beer, and there's no wine and no liquor. And that's that's what they choose to do. So I don't know. Interesting stuff going on. I wish we knew more about it, but at the surface level, it's very sad to see. Yes, John.
There's something that's almost as bad, if not worse. they're limited to 2 TVs of 65 inches or more. So apparently no one's allowed to go to a brewery and have fun and watch a baseball game or a hockey game. I mean, you can have more than 2 TVs, but if you have more than 2 TVs that are 65 inches, the other TVs have to display business information, the brewery menu, the names of your servers. Maybe they're televising the local artwork on the TV for other people in the brewery. They can't see it next to that wall. It's like someone specifically doesn't want to let people have fun at breweries in New Jersey.
It's like someone grew up in New Jersey, got away, and then made money, and then just didn't want anyone to come back to Jersey ever.
So the sports bars were getting a pretty good play into writing this law. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. That's just crazy. It's
so
crazy.
The sales of 64-inch TVs just went through the roof. All right, well, that's interesting. Sam, I guess we'll just have to have you on the next time that New Jersey decides to change their laws around this.
I think at that point we'll just be drinking straight whiskey and hoping for the best.
This is true. Okay. Anything else on that, guys?
Nah, let's go on to something more fun.
All right, let's move on to, this has just been a rotating segment, so let's just call it this week's We Like Drinking Shows to Know. So we've already talked about beards, booze, and bacon, our friend Sam Slaughter's show. But there's another show that I've been keen on that I wanted to let you guys know about. We're always on the lookout for new shows or podcasts that live in this lovely boozy space we like to call home. And the ladies at Grapes and Grains are into their second season, and we thought you should be aware of what they're doing. Join Laura and Tiny as they're on their individual education journeys. Laura is studying to be a sommelier, and Tiny is working on both her beer judging and Cicerone certifications. The format is that they pick a topic each week, like they did one on California beer and wine. They did one on wine and beer, like murder and intrigue and mysteries. And then they each purposely go and get into the weeds on some facet of the topic related back to wine or beer. A piece I really like about it is that they don't know what each other are going to be talking about in the show. So there's this Q&A that goes back and forth between them as they tell their stories, which makes it a really interesting listen. So you can check them out on your favorite podcast catcher by searching up Grapes and Grains. So really same, kind of the realm that we're in. And it's fun because they're going along this learning process. So great job, ladies. Congratulations on the show and congratulations on season 2. All right. Okay. Well, my drink's empty. I saw Sam pulling straight from the bottle a couple minutes ago. John, how's your drink doing?
Just limes.
It's just limes. Well, if everybody's empty, it must be not that. It must be, let me get to it. Nope, I just minimized it. It must, nope, that's not it either. All right. At this point, it's editing. It must be.
Last call.
Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks? We're looking for a little bit of your help. So if you want to find us on the social medias, check us out on Twitter at We Like Drinking 1. That's the number 1. On Instagram and Facebook at We Like Drinking, or join our private Facebook group, The Tavern. You can find that at welikedrinking.com/tavern. Sam, one last time, best places to find you and your book, if there's something for it, on the socials.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Slaughter Writes. That's slaughter like murder with Writes, WRITES. And then if you look up Are You Afraid of the Dark Room, you will find it on Amazon or wherever you buy your books.
Wherever you buy stuff.
I would recommending them from your local bookstore.
There you go. Is there going to be an audio version? Are you going to read the recipes to us?
if there is enough of a demand, I would love to do that. I don't think there will be, but I will do it if there isn't a demand.
That would be so awesome to have you read me how to make the Freshman of Bel Air. Like, I want to make that happen.
You really just want me to do that rap, don't you?
I do. I really do.
I want him to read the book and then say, Eccles, you're doing it wrong.
You can do that with every drink. You can also search up the show on Apple Podcasts and leave us a big fat 5-star review if you enjoyed the episode. In particular, share it with a friend. While you're at it, search up Beards, Booze, and Bacon. Give them a 5-star review. Search up Grapes and Grains. Give them a 5-star review. Give everybody 5-star reviews. Yeah, I'm well into my double of this drink. So, John, if the folks are looking to help us out with a little bit of the coinage, how can they do that?
Visit welikedrinking.com/pledge. Find out more information about becoming a patron of the show and helping us out.
Yep. And we'd love to have your help there. Special bonuses for Patreons. Patreons, if you're not aware, yes, I'm holding Legos in my hand now. That's where I've gotten to. Patrons, John Ruyak did an experiment in his brewery last week, and we just dropped the video of it today. So be sure to check that out if you haven't checked it out yet. Oh my goodness. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. Or if you're on your phone right now, just swipe right or left or up and down or whatever until you find a way to give us some reviews or leave us some stars. I just love Sam just going straight from the bottle. It's the best thing I've seen all night. All right, well, that means it's time to the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
I had a couple of things in mind about Barbara Eden and I Dream of Jeannie, but I'll keep those to myself. But I was very glad that Sammy didn't come up with a cocktail from Ren and Stimpy about their nose goblins.
I think we're all glad for that. Sam, any final thoughts before we cut you loose?
No.
All right, Sam, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show. We definitely want to have you back a third time. Thank you for writing this book. Thank you for filling me with this nostalgic joy. See, I really think the reason Solomon wasn't on is last week he was bashing nostalgia like to no end and talking about what a waste it was as he was talking about the comeback of New Coke. I think he's just embarrassed to come back on. That's right, Solomon. I think you're chicken. So Sam, thank you again.
Bring it on, Jeff.
So thank you again for the book. Thank you again for coming on the show. And thank you again for your wonderful podcast and all the work you do. And with that, we'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast,
where you'll never drink alone.
Holy shit. Viewers, thank you for joining us. We're all going to go pass out now, and I'm going to shut this off before it keeps recording me doing that.